Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back. The one and only Donna Morton Morgan is back, my co-hostess with the mostest for Transformation Talk. It's a series that is all her brainchild, and she brings amazing guests where we talk about transformation, how you can transform, and we provide people who have gone through a transformation, or at least offer you an opportunity to learn from them about what they do. So we have Donna Morton Morgan. And of course, we have our guest today, which I'll let Donna go into in just a little bit. But I want to give a shout out to Joanne Stone. She's with A Step to Sober Living. You can see the website scrolling across the bottom there, asteptosoberliving.com. We're going to learn about Joanne's story and the services that she provides. Welcome back, Donna, and welcome to the show, Joanne.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm excited. Donna has been living the life down in the islands. You can tell she's got that. She's really living the inner vibes on Inner Vibes Consulting right now. She's got it all going. She's glowing. Donna, before we get started and we introduce and take a deep dive into Joanne's story, just remind everybody about you and what you do.
Sure. I am Donna Morton Morgan, and I am a real estate broker. I am a president of several nonprofit organizations and outreach, and of course, life coach, and Inner Vibes consultant. And, our goal is to just blend in outreach with everything that we do. And we are a heart of service. Ted is definitely a heart of service, as we all know, and myself, and we seek out people with a heart of service, and that's what Transformation Talk is all about. It's really, how did you transform your life? What did you do? In what area was your struggle in, and how did you overcome it? And then how are you then now using that struggle to help others? Isn't that amazing when we can use our struggle to help other people?
Amen.
And so, I met Joanne Stone several years back. God, I've been on so many boards. I've been on the Orange County Drug Committee, and met some amazing individuals. And Joanne's story just always touched my heart, and to see her transformation. So I am just going through my contact list of amazing individuals. So thank you, Joanne, for answering the call and saying yes and coming on and sharing. So you tell us about you and how, where you started.
Okay. Hi there, everybody. My name is Joanne Stone. And first, I wanted to thank Ted and Donna for asking me to come on and share my story with you. I believe that sharing my story is a way of helping other people. And I just think it's incredible when you can use your story and it becomes your passion to help other people. And for me, because of everything that I've been through, the struggles I've been through, it really has turned into a passion. Because trust me, I am not getting rich at what I'm doing.
Not yet.
You are not.
I'm rich here in the heart, but not in the pocketbook. And that's okay, because I have everything I need today.
Love it.
But to start off, I have to say that I grew up in a pretty normal family. And but my dad was an alcoholic. So normal being whatever normal can be when that happens. And it was something that I swore was never going to happen to me. I was never going to drink. I was introduced to Alateen, which I'm not sure if you know what that is, but Alateen is for teenagers of alcoholics. And they have their own like support group like AA where you can go and you can, get help. And it helps when you share with other people. So we would go there, me and my sisters, and we would talk about how bad my dad was. The problem was by the time my mom started taking us there, I was already 16 and I had already started smoking marijuana. So I would leave the meeting and we would talk about how bad he was, and I would drive my own car so that we wouldn't have to ride with my mom so we could smoke pot on the way home. So it started as just smoking weed for me for a very long time. And then I believe it was probably around the time I turned 18 that, and back then you only had to be 18 to drink legally and get into the clubs. And I started going to the bars to dance, of course, not to do anything else. And that's where I started drinking. And my drinking led to other things that I tried. I kid around now and I say I was an equal opportunity drug abuser. I didn't discriminate against any drug. I gave them all a fair shot. Picked the ones I liked and kept with those. And I used drugs and alcohol for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Something you had just said to yourself, I'm not going to do.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And I had knowledge about it because of my mom's efforts in taking us to Alateen. So it was almost as if I thought I was too smart for that to happen to me because I knew about it.
Yes.
Only the disease of addiction is smarter than anyone I know.
True.
Anyone I know. You can't outthink this disease.
So what happened at the end of 20 years?
Well, I had one sister who was a little bit younger than me, who, by the way, I was the oldest of the sisters, and I was the one that introduced them to it when they were really young. So my youngest sister got into some trouble, and it kind of scared her clean. Let's put it that way.
Good.
And she got sober.
Wow.
And one year I had moved to Miami to get away from everybody in Orlando. Now, remember, this is in the 80s. So I moved to Miami in the 80s to get away from Orlando, and that was not a great move.
Right.
Yeah, I went from the frying pan into the fire. That's right.
Wow.
Yes, I did. So I came back up here one year for Christmas, and my younger sister, I was in the car with her, and she had been sober for about 5 years at that point. And we stopped at the gas station, and she filled up her whole tank with gas. And back then we all smoked, and she bought a whole carton of cigarettes. And there was a time when her and I would put $2 in the gas tank and scrounge up change to buy our cigarettes. So that was incredible to me that she was able to fill up the whole tank and buy a whole carton. It's
what an insignificant moment that was so significant.
That's right. That's right. You never know what it is that somebody's going to say or do when they're watching you. If you're in recovery, that's going to attract them to it. And I thought, I'm the older sister. I should be the one that's further ahead than her. Well, I didn't stop right then, but I woke up one morning and I was getting evicted from a condemned trailer. You know how hard you have to work to get evicted from a condemned trailer? It's a long process. It didn't, I gave it a good shot there. I fought it pretty hard. So I was getting evicted from this condemned trailer, and I had no car, no driver's license. Nobody in the family would let me move back in with them. I was 32 years old, and so I called my sister who was in recovery, and I said, does it get better? I only wanted to know, is it worth it? And 2 days later, her and my mother had me in treatment. And here I am now. I did have one setback after a year and a half being sober. But I now, April, I celebrated 29 years of recovery.
Wow. Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's an amazing. I think it is such an interesting. Everybody's got a different journey when it comes to their recovery, and the recidivism rate after being in treatment is just so high, and because it's a daily struggle. Everybody's seeing the shows. If you aren't in recovery, you just hear about it on TV shows and movies, but it is sometimes a minute by minute decision you make and a struggle, and you constantly have to be thinking about it and making sure that you stay in recovery. So one relapse or one setback in 29 years is absolutely amazing. So kudos.
Well, and I went back out for one night, and it was after a year and a half of being clean the first time, and it was because I did what they tell you not to do in early recovery. They give you all these little hints on what to do so you can stay sober. And I went to meetings and got a sober support group, and I did all those things. But I got in a relationship. And, early, they tell you to stay out of relationships early in recovery, and they do that for a reason.
Right.
Because that's probably the number one reason for relapse is relationships. I wasn't ready for a relationship with anybody else. I didn't even know who I was yet.
Correct. You're working on you. So how can you work on you when you're also then working on a relationship with somebody else? Yeah, they know their stuff in the beginning.
They do.
Yes.
Whether you choose to listen or, like you said earlier, something you said was so powerful to me. The addiction is so much smarter. The disease itself is so much smarter and just knows how to get you. You are not smarter necessarily than the disease. And so once you accept that, and there's all sorts of steps, those steps are in place for a reason because they've been successful for so long.
And they're numbered for a reason too.
Yes, they are.
So, Joanne, stats show also that children that see certain behaviors in the home are more often, will repeat the same behavior, like you said, the same behavior that you saw that you didn't like. And you talked bad about your dad for that behavior. You repeat, so we tend also as human beings to just, as children, see these things, the negative things, and somehow repeat them. And the younger ones that really didn't see as much, they're not as affected as you, the older one that saw it more often.
Well, and the statistics tell us that 40 to 60% of all addiction comes from family. And even they've done lots of studies with children that have been adopted out into families that have no drinking or addiction behaviors going on. And that ratio is still the same, 40 to 60%. So there is a genetic component to it as well.
I agree. I think what's interesting is because of the family. When I would sit in on groups, I was very blessed to be able to sit in on groups and hear the stories. It always went back to something familial. Absolutely, every single time there was something in the family, something in the history that was, and I don't, that they were at the point where they were trying to not blame. There's a whole process there, but they were just explaining and trying to get in touch with why they had reacted or why they had become what they had become at that particular moment in time, and always back to family. But I want to ask you, it's interesting because a lot of people who go through treatment and who are in recovery then themselves get into the business of recovery, it's a high number. But tell us about your journey into that. Was that an immediate thing for you? Did you as you're working in recovery, did you automatically after the first setback, did you decide I'm just going to get into it? I'm going to make my life's career. What was the path for you?
Well, mine was a little bit different, I think, than a lot of people, because back when I first when I was in treatment, back then you didn't need all the degrees and things. It was anybody that was in recovery was your counselor at the treatment center.
That's correct.
And so I actually got asked by the treatment center that I went through after I got my first year successful in recovery to come and work for them. And so I did. And then I wasn't, it was too soon for me. I loved it, but I couldn't separate me from the clients because I didn't have enough, there wasn't enough space between us. I was still on their level, still learning the same things that they were learning. So I stopped doing it for a while. I did it for maybe a couple years, and then I went on and did a whole bunch of other things. And I ended up working for the Florida Safety Council, and I met a woman who knew I used to work in the treatment center, and she says, I have treatment center and I need someone to do group, and I was just wondering if you still did it. So I went back to work for her, and before you knew it, it was my love. And I went back to school. I had 1 year left so that all the time I worked in the treatment center would still count from before. And so I hurried up and I went back to school, and I got my first certification, and then I went back and got my bachelor's degree. And now I'm a CAP, which is a certified addictions professional. I'm also internationally certified, meaning I could go anywhere and work if I could speak the language. And I had my own private practice for 10 years. And now in the last 2 years, I have been, I've gone back and I'm working at the Florida Safety Council, and I teach the DUI classes. And I'm also the one that does evaluations on the clients that get the DUIs. And, they love me when I send them to treatment.
You're real popular, I bet.
Yes.
So let's talk about a step to sober living.
Okay.
Tell me what that is. And the website, y'all, is scrolling across the bottom there. Talk about that.
Okay. A step to sober living is my women's halfway house. The halfway house is where I got my foundation. When I was in treatment, I went for 30 days, and then I stayed in the halfway house for 6 months. And after that, I always wanted to open a halfway house because it really is the best foundation you can get to learn how to live being sober. Right. Because you don't know.
Define a halfway house, because I know what that is, but we hear it, the wording. But what is a halfway house? What is it halfway to? Why is it called a halfway?
That's right. That's a good question. That's right. So they're also called sober living houses, transitional living houses, and halfway houses. And what that means is I get women who are coming out of a treatment. They come out of a treatment center, and you can't always go back to where you were living before you went into treatment, because the environment might not be great. There might be family conflict still going on. That's not great for somebody who's early in recovery. So I have a house. It's in the middle of a nice neighborhood. Don't tell the neighbors. Right. And but we've been there for 12 years. It's a 4-bedroom house. And I have 2 girls to a room, plus I have a house manager who has her own room. She's been sober for about 6 years now, and she lives there because if I had to live there, I'd be crazier than I am now. But I love it. I go there once a week. We have a group meeting, and the girls come in. They get jobs. They learn how to support themselves. They have to go to meetings. They have rules that they have to follow. And I have such a great group in there right now that they're making my life easy.
Love it. Wow. I think the power with a halfway house is it just solidifies that foundation that they get in treatment, because like you said, I think people don't realize if you're going right back into the same environment you were, where you were sitting in it and you had easy access to, especially if it's drugs, or it was just an environment that obviously somehow contributed to where you were at. Going back into it right after treatment, you're just not strong enough most of the time.
Right. That's right.
And so
If
you
you
help
have
the halfway houses are amazing.
That's right. If you have family members that are still drinking, they think, well, that was your problem, not my problem.
Right.
And they don't realize that what it does because, really the disease of addiction is all about the brain. It's a brain disease. And they don't understand the triggers that happen and the dopamine that gets released into the brain when we see things like that. So it's about the science. And people don't realize how hard it is in the beginning.
It's just so difficult. Go ahead, Donna.
No, as Joanne is saying, it's a disease. I hope that in the future, law enforcement and, because we don't punish people when people get cancer or different diseases. But with the law enforcement, the way it's set up, if someone, is drinking and or high, or it's a lot of consequences for that. And so how do we say, it's a disease, but then we're telling people make better choices, or just don't do it, be responsible, but it's a disease. Do you see what I'm saying? That it's
Yes, it's so hard to figure that out. And for a lot of people, the consequences is what gets them clean. Like when I see it with my DUI students, for some of them, they don't realize they have a problem until they're exposed to the information we give them in the classroom. They don't even realize that it has become a problem because everybody they hang out with is doing the same thing they're doing. And on the other hand, you're right. Why do we punish people who have a disease? Well, if you're doing something illegal, I believe that you should have the consequences for it. But if there's alcohol or drugs involved, treatment should be a part of that solution too. Because about 80 to 85% of all the people in our jails and prisons are there because of either an alcohol or drug related crime. They were either high, getting money to get high, driving under the influence, whatever. So that, and the research tells us court-ordered people do better because they're forced to do certain things that a volunteer can't. We can't make them do. So that's such a hard thing. Do you punish someone for it, or you can't just let them go, or we just keep doing it again?
That's true. Yeah,
So
it's a catch-22. One of the things that I've always believed, and we still have after the 30 years I've been in, had this degree and worked in and out of nonprofits, is that we need more funding. And the way to get more funding is more education and awareness to the people who will fund. Talk about, give the people, as we start to wrap up, I want anyone who's listening, I've got two-part question. I want anyone who's listening who thinks, all right, I probably need help. What's the best way for them to start that journey? Is there a phone number? Is there a resource? Because I also think that a lot of people struggle because they have no idea who to reach out to.
That's right. Well, there's a couple of great places that you can start. You can always call 211, which is a social assistance hotline that's sponsored by United Way. And you can tell them, I need help. And they will look up treatment centers for you and give you numbers to them. You can also call the AA hotline or the NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous hotline. There's also a great new place in Forest City, right outside of Altamonte Springs. It's called Recovery Connections. You can go to My Recovery Connections, and it's a building with people that are in recovery, peer recovery, they call them, and they work there. You can walk in, and they have all the resources to give you in the Orlando area. You can go in there and get all kinds of resources and help, and they'll help you find treatment.
Tell me one last thing. And please, y'all listen. And I will put all the phone numbers and everything that Joanne has just shared. I will make sure that I put that in the comments below. What about people who want to help, that want to volunteer, that want to give back, that are proponents, grant writers, people who have a gift that they want to give? What's the best way for them to get involved? And I want them to get involved in a step to sober living first. But is that the best way to go to the website, reach out to you?
Sure, they can do that. They can go to my website. I have a form on there that you can fill out, and it, with what you want to do or how you want to help or any questions that you might have, go to our website, fill out that form. But the next best options would be to call the My Recovery Connections, because they are just awesome.
I love that. I think it's so important that people get involved and not push this off. I think we've glamorized it, unfortunately, and a lot of misinformation out there from movies and TV. They don't realize how many people are actually struggling with it. A lot of people struggle without any help. A lot of people just never get the help, and then it becomes generational. Right. It's definitely impacting people and continues to impact people. And the only way for it not to be is to take the social stigma, the stigma away from it. And the only way to accomplish that is education and funding, and education and funding.
That's right. That's right.
So what a blessing, the service that you provide, Joanne. It is a step, and it's such a positive step, and laying that foundation for those women is going to change all of the people they impact. It's a ripple effect. This is not just one person that you're changing their lives. You're changing the lives of the people in their lives as well. So I just want to give you huge kudos. This is obviously, anybody who's in this industry knows this is not a get rich quick scheme. No. There is you do it because you have a heart for it, or you've experienced it and you've seen how it's changed your life, and you want it to change other people's lives. So one more time, Joanne Stone, tell us one more time how they can reach you and how they can learn more about A Step to Sober Living.
Sure. You can go to my website at www.asteptosoberliving.com. You can look us up on Google. Just put A Stepping Stone to Sober Living, and I'll show right up.
I love it. Donna, thank you for introducing us to Joanne. You can follow Donna anytime at Inner Vibes Consulting on Facebook or Instagram. You're both an inspiration, Joanne. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. You all, if you're struggling, 211 or any of the resources that we have in the comments and the body of this below, and you can always go to step2soberliving.com and reach out. What a blessing. Bless you both so much. Y'all get help. There's somebody there that wants to listen and help. Joanne's been there. She lives it on a daily basis. This is somebody who knows it, and she wants you to get sober. So thank you both so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, and happy late 4th of July.
Happy late 4th of July. All right. We'll see you guys soon. We'll be back next week for Transformation Talk. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.